So I'm having a hair day, a general life day. As you can see, I got up at 8 o'clock at night day. We're good, we're good. Gretchen, I'm so glad you liked your present because it was such a fail getting my Christmas Secret Santa presents out. And I apologize, but I could never get those books where you stare at them and look away. I only feel you on the whole being at a crossroads. My advice, and it's always the advice that gets you in trouble, but it seems like good things come out of it, is to always just follow your heart. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but honestly, when I've just felt in my spirit that I was supposed to be doing something and I ignored it because other people told me it wasn't possible or that it wasn't reasonable, I always regretted it later on. So if you're just really, if your heart is telling you to go one way and you're passionate about something, a lot of times that's enough to make that happen. I still haven't seen the actual issue of the magazine. The models definitely aren't like thin models, but they're kind of like thin girls that just have wide hips. And that's great and all, but I have more than hips. When I'm looking at these girls wearing clothes where they have no, like there's no stomach roll, there's nothing. It's just like they're flat, they just happen to be a little wider than normal. Normal. I don't know. I'm on the other spectrum of big. Like I'm not acceptable fat. I'm not slightly chubby. And I know that girls that are in this position don't feel like this is acceptable because you still get shit. But I'm like at the other end. Like there's no denying that I'm fat. Like I can't hide this behind a sweater. And the only thing that saved me in life has been that I'm tall. So I can get away, I guess, with a little bit more of my weight because there's more of me in general. Jessie, I think you're a big baby. Nose pierced. I got it when I was 19, and I did it sort of as a dare because my mom told me that she didn't think I'd be able to go through with it. And so we were in the middle of this sketchy area of Florida, and I was like, okay, let's walk down the boardwalk and find some random place. And I walked in some random place and paid them $50, and they pierced my nose. And it wasn't that bad. It was just like a little popping, and then it was done. And then, of course, I screwed with it for the rest of the night, so I was like pulling it out and putting it in, and thank God I didn't get an infection or anything like that. Shannon. I feel a lot of times in life when horrible things happen or when I'm just really upset and everything just seems awful that I actually kind of embrace those experiences. It's sort of a trade-off. It's sort of a trade-off of being alive. It's like you get all these wonderful things and they come with all these awful things, but if you didn't have either, then you wouldn't really appreciate either of them, and they kind of work together in tandem. Katina, I loved your video this week. I think it's so easy to get caught up in the craziness of life. And actually, I know that a lot of you know about the whole Conan O'Brien Leno thing, but when Conan left this week on his last show, I started sobbing, obviously, as I was watching it online, because I thought the way he went out was so classy, but also one of the last things he said was something along the lines of, if you work really hard and you're kind, then amazing things will happen to you. And I think that that's so true. So I just watched Gretchen's Sunday video and I died. Amazing. Congratulations. The first thought that popped in my head when watching that was, why do you have a fireplace? You live in Arizona. The second thought was, I've never seen anyone make a Snuggie look so sexy. Ever. I was really excited to see some of the subscribers get in there and read passages from their favorite books. And if you guys want to do that for future Sundays with Gretchen, our number is 762-233-5433. And don't abuse it like Some Tips for Life does, where he leaves comments basically denouncing me and saying that we should take me off the channel and he'd watch more. Hateful. Hateful. Me when I say that. I'm going on a cruise, and I'm going on a cruise February 7th to the 14th, I think, like something like that. My cousin's getting married, which sounds great in theory, but then you think 5 days without internet and with my family on a boat. Like I can't get away. But while I'm there, and since I won't have internet, I need books to read. I need things to read, to engage my mind. I appreciate you guys suggesting some titles. Even the viewers, if you could comment below with books that have changed your life, that were just amazing, that have stuck with you forever, leave them below. This whole week watching videos, I was actually reminded of one of my favorite books, Lifelines, Holding On and Letting Go by Forrest Church. And it's one of those books that I read every few years. When I'm going through a really rough time, this book has sort of been something that I always go back to and just makes my heart not as heavy. And I don't have the faintest idea what will happen when we die. None of us knows for sure. But if someone were to ask you before you emerged from your mother's womb if there was life after birth, and what this life would be like, how would you have replied? Would you have mentioned birds and rivers, the sun and the moon, children, faith and hope? Would you have foreseen love and grief, guilt and fear, humility, compassion, shared joy and shared pain? Life is far more amazing than we could ever have predicted, even the most prescient embryo among us. So who is to say what will follow? All I know is this: before death, we are witness to at least one miracle, the miracle of life.